So I submitted to the International Association on the Study of Dreams to their dream art call for art. My name is Sequoia. I use she and her pronouns. I am an artist, but I'm also a therapist. And I've been doing a mixed media art series on my YouTube channel where I've been sharing my current creative practice that involves my sketchbook and just really learning more about what my mixed media palette is. I talk about being a sensory sensitive artist, so meaning I talk about the connection to creative practice and tools and the way that tools feel for you. Like I said, I've also been talking about what it means to build a mixed media palette. And in one of my videos, I was sharing about these sketches, these quick sketches that I did. I wanted to keep the subject matter of elephants kind of fresh in my mind. And I did these quick sketches with some pastels and just some basic Canson color paper with a little bit of collage. I was also testing Mod Podge on this paper to see like would it leave this film, and it does. But when I was talking through some time sketches in the mixed media series, and it's the video that is called Same Sketch, Different Mediums, and I can link that in the comment section. I brought up these sketches and me wanting to continue this particular study of elephants because of the dream art that I submitted. And someone in the comments had asked me about it. And so today I wanted to come on to share more about this particular series that I'm building. And yeah, kind of give y'all some background about where did the theme for elephants come from for my dream art. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, where did the inspiration for this particular series come from? And kind of give y'all a look into the artist research that I did related to this theme, and like I said, where I got the inspiration from. Um, and yeah, and just share some of the pieces that I did make in the series. And then this one was the final. I started off with like six thumbnails, and I thought I was gonna submit like six pieces for the exhibition. I think I made four, and then I ended up only only submitting this one. And so this is the one out of the series that yeah, got me accepted into the Dream Art exhibition again for the International Association on the Study of Dreams. They have their conference coming up actually in a few weeks, and they had, a call for art for dream art, and I submitted this piece, and this is called Elephants on the Moon, a Minnie Evans series. And so, like I said, I wanted to. I guess this is going to end up being a little bit of a series because today what I want to do is just share with y'all, like I said, some of the artist research that I did to come up with the story for the series. Because what I'm going to end up doing is I would like to continue to build on the series, and I had done some sketches, some thumbnails of, let's see, it's that one, and then it's these, some thumbnails for the series. And some of these ended up, like I said, in the final four that I did, but I only ended up submitting one. And so, yeah, I want to share with y'all like where did I get the inspiration and the theme um, to focus on elephants, and why the moon and where did that come from. So I have been doing a little bit of a deep dive. I live in North Carolina, and one of the things that has been helpful for me with belonging, this theme of belonging, one because I move around a lot, but belonging to the spaces that I live and reside. And so I decided to do something a little bit different with this move, and I've been in North Carolina for about 2 years now. And so these are some collage pieces that I used, and I wanted to keep them as templates related to the elephants. But the kind of belonging meditation or kind of thought exercise that I've been doing has been researching local, particularly Black artists. I identify as a Black queer person. So I really am interested in, especially, the older artists. I really love, reading about older artists, the elder artists even now, and like the lessons that they can teach us from their creative practice. But so the first person that I researched was Romare Bearden, and Romare Bearden is, relatively more known. Romare Bearden is a collage artist, and he's used other kind of mediums. I would definitely say like assemblage, mixed media kind of art. And so I started with Romare Bearden, and that led me to an artist named Minnie Evans. Minnie, like Minnie Mouse. Minnie Evans, and just some quick information about her. Minnie Evans was 95 when she passed away. She was born in 1892. She lived until 1987. Like I said, she was 95 when she passed away. And she is a resident, well, was a resident of Wilmington, North Carolina at the time of her passing. Minnie Evans was, known more. Her art was more known towards the end of her life. And folks would, art writers and folks that have written about her would go on to kind of name her as a Southern folk artist, a surrealist, a visionary artist. In Minnie's interviews that I listened to and read, she often connected her creative practice to religion and said that many of her images that she created were from visions from God. And so that's where the visionary part comes from. They also categorize her as outsider art. So again, this is kind of like the folk art language. She used very kind of simple tools like wax crayons and graphite. Her images are very beautiful. I would strongly suggest that if you have just a moment and want to look up who I'm talking about, I definitely would spend the time doing that and just look at the symmetry in her pieces. You will find very vibrant images. You'll find a lot, like I said, a lot of symmetry, a lot of faces as well. Eyes were very prominent in Minnie Evans' work, EYES, and sometimes I spell things out because my accent can be a little heavy. But yeah, eyes and recurring faces were very prevalent in her work. Towards the end of Minnie's life, and it's very interesting that many of the folks that wrote about her said that she worked at Airlie Garden for the family that owned the property, and really Minnie was a slave. She cleaned for the family. She worked on the property in the garden and credits much of her inspiration related to the vividness and also the very clear landscapes that are in her pieces to the Airlie Garden that is in Wilmington, North Carolina. There is a I was gonna say monument. Yeah, I kind of like a monument or a marker there that mentions Minnie Evans and the contributions that she made to that particular garden, but they're also to the art world. So that's pretty cool. Let me see. One of the connecting all of this back to where did I get Elephants on the Moon from related to Minnie Evans. In her interviews, one of the things that she said that struck me was, one of the interviewers was asking her, well, how did you get started in art? What's your inspiration? You seem to have a very vivid imagination. And so she told this story of growing up and talking to other kids and being in a conversation with other kids and basically asking, like, y'all don't see those elephants on the moon, like nobody else sees elephants on the moon and the other kids, they were like, no, we don't see that. And so Minnie tells the interviewer, like that's how she knew that she was different from all the other kids, because she could see elephants on the moon. And so that, like, it almost chokes me up a little bit. That spoke to me about the innocence of her childhood and looking for a community, having a vivid imagination, not necessarily having the space and the opportunity to explore those things for herself. And that spoke to me related to inner child work. Like I said, this piece was submitted for a dream art exhibition for the International Association for the Study of Dreams. I am an artist, but I'm also a therapist, and dream work, nightmares, and trauma, and sleep disorders are something that is a specialty area of mine. And so this is my first year submitting some art for their conference. And yeah, submitted this piece and it got accepted. And I wanted to share me as I go through the process of continuing to build on the series, because I really love this theme and so I want to continue it. And so I'm starting here with sharing with you all kind of the story that I'm building on for this series that's going to go further than the Dream Art exhibition. And it started with some artist research. And so the next piece to the storytelling and the artist research is that because Minnie Evans is local, so from the state of North Carolina, there is an artist archive at one of the local libraries in the city that I live in that had some literature on Minnie Evans. So I set up a time for that particular archive. I told them what books I wanted because there weren't that many. There were only, if I remember correctly, there were 5 books that they had. So I told them to bring everything out to me. And so what I did was the archive is at a separate location than from like the regular public library. You can't go in there with a cell phone or anything. You can't go in there with like even your own paper. You have to use the paper that they give you. And so I wasn't able to record inside of the room where I sat down and looked at the books and everything. I was only able to record like outside. So at some point I put together like an artist vlog and stitched together the snippets that I do have. But I was able to make some photocopies of some of those reference books, because the reference books that they have on Minnie Evans, these were books that I could not take out of the out of the archive, out of the library. Like I had to look at them there. But what you can do is make copies. And the thing that they recommend is that you bring a USB drive. So I brought a USB drive with me. We would scan the images that I wanted out of each of the books. And so I have those images on a USB drive. And at some point, I will share the passages that I found that were very interesting about Minnie Evans, as well as more close ups of her images. But if she is someone that you're interested in, or just want to see the art, from the person that I'm talking about in this particular video, please definitely Google her. Again, her name is Minnie, like Minnie Mouse, but Minnie Evans. Evans, Minnie Evans. And again, she is from North Carolina, so that's the Minnie Evans that you're looking for. And you can see again her vivid images. So that's kind of the story, behind Minnie Evans. This collage, well, this piece is a collage. As I mentioned, I cut out some kind of like stencils. I cut out like some elephant stencils and used those throughout the pieces. So like I said, initially I started off thinking that I started off with 6 thumbnails, and then I feel like I thought that I had everything over here. I feel like it's one more panel that I'm missing. But I started off thinking that I was going to do 6 because I did 6 thumbnails, and then I only ended up making 4 of the thumbnails into actual panels, and then I only submitted one, and that is this one. And so these are collage pieces. So this is just regular like brown paper, the paper in like the Amazon boxes, or like when you get shipped art supplies or just any kind of packaging. That's what this is. This is color pencil drawn on top of Kuretake watercolors. These images here, these discs are also collage. All of this is collaged on top of Kuretake. And I have like some paint markers for the little swirls and everything. And so, yeah, let's see. This one, like I said, this is the one that I submitted, and it got accepted into the Dream Art exhibition. And same concept. I really liked this kind of added detail, how this part of the ear kind of hangs off of the panel. I love the scene. Again, this is inspired by Minnie Evans' quote about, like all children, everybody can't see elephants on the moon. And it's this image of, clearly 2 elephants, a big one and a small one, on the moon, kind of looking at each other, but your view is more towards the planets, and this is supposed to be a representation of Earth, right? And so there's something very peaceful and calming and serene and also loving about space to me. I love planets. I love Saturn. I love to read about all of the different moons that orbit Saturn. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna nerd out too much about space. And I even listen to space sounds. So like on YouTube you can Google like different planets. Like I've listened to Jupiter and listened to Saturn, like what it sounds like on those planets. And I can listen to that. And so yeah, I feel a deep connection to, I don't know, to that, to astrology, to planets, to, the fact that there's so many moons that orbit Saturn and things like that. And so, Anyway, because I'll nerd out. Yeah, so that is another layer to this storytelling piece, right? So again, I have really enjoyed building on this aspect of artist research, how an intention about learning about North Carolina and doing that through the local artists, doing some research on Ramir Bearden, and then it trickled into Minnie Evans. And then now, seeing where listening to an interview has kind of taken my practice and the subject matters, that are very interesting to me, which are, elephants. Yeah, like this is the start of again me reworking these images. So the conference is in a few weeks. And I could just be done, with this particular subject matter. But like I said, I feel a deep connection to this piece. And what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks is continuing to share about the process for making these panels, but also the process for reworking my original thumbnails and continuing to build on this series. The piece that I submitted for the Dream Art exhibition is collage mixed media, and I would like to continue to explore different mediums with this subject matter. So, the next video will either be me walking through Minnie Evans, the USB drive with her images on there, or it will be me starting to resketch the thumbnails and figure out what my color palette is gonna be, but also like what materials, unless I just do the same materials, which is possible too. But I also, you know, I really enjoyed making these little like elephant stencils too. These were so helpful in my pieces to help build on the subject. But like I said, when I started these sketches as well, there's something interesting in doing these little panels too, related to elephants. So yeah, I would love for you to follow along. Related to me rebuilding out this series. If this is interesting, if you'd like to hear more about Minnie Evans, but also if you would like to see the direction that I go in related to reworking these thumbnails for this submission to the Dream Art exhibition, that is associated with the International Association of the Study of Dreams, their conference that's coming up. Definitely follow along. And yeah, thanks so much.